Ukrainian troops fighting the war against Russia are coming to the U.S. now for training on this Patriot missile defense system. It's the one they asked for, and now they'll get the training to use it properly. This will happen at Fort Sill in Oklahoma, where U.S. troops undergo their own training on the Patriot system. It is the most advanced ground-based air defense system in the U.S., and it was also included in that military package signed by President Biden. Joining me now to talk more about this and everything else going on in Ukraine, national security and political analyst Paul Rieckhoff. Paul's also the host of the Independent Americans podcast, which you can check out wherever you get your podcasts. Paul, good to see you this morning. Training Ukrainian soldiers on U.S. soil, significant step, also a risky one.
Thanks, Mike. I don't think it's that risky. I mean, this is pretty basic. We train allies across the world on U.S. bases all the time. I trained at places like Fort Stewart and Fort Benning, and there were international soldiers alongside of us throughout this. It's safer to train them here than to train them in Poland or somewhere else. And it makes it easier from a logistical standpoint for the U.S. We can just plug them in alongside our soldiers that are already undergoing training at Fort Sill. So I think it's significant that we're finally putting the Patriot batteries into play. This will save civilian lives. It'll help secure the airspace. It's, in my view, kind of a basic thing we could have done much earlier. But at the end of the day, getting Patriots to Ukraine will help save Ukrainian lives, civilian lives in particular. It'll protect them from overhead attacks. It'll increase their air defense assets. And I think it's a pretty basic move that'll make a significant difference.
How soon before this training is put into action?
They can accelerate it, and hopefully they could be on the ground within 6 months. I think the larger issue is that Ukraine's in this really tough situation right now where they're kind of playing a game of mother may I with the president and with Congress. You know, can we have Javelin missiles? Then can we have HIMARS? Now it's can we have Patriots? The next step is going to be can we have tanks? Can we have F-16s? In my view, the U.S. and Biden and Congress need to take the gloves off. I mean, the Ukrainians are being slaughtered. They're facing genocide. Women are being raped. Schools are being targeted. And we need to take the gloves off and give the Ukrainians what they need, not just to defend themselves, but to win, to drive Russia out of their land and move toward victory, which is ultimately what they want in 2023.
Right. And the Russians want more supplies and weaponry as well, which brings me to my next question about Victor Bout, that arms dealer that the United States traded for Brittany Griner, the WNBA player. He's back on Russian soil. Apparently, he's getting pretty involved in the situation in the invasion of Ukraine. A DEA Special Operations Division agent said, quote, the merchant of death, which is what Victor Bout is referred to, is back in action, has more hatred against Americans and with a greater motivation to fuel conflicts and support Russia in his outrageous and disastrous war with Ukraine. How many ties might he still have that he can supply the Russians as a global arms dealer with the arms necessary to combat some of the supplies that the U.S. is offering?
I don't know. And I know that there are plenty of Ukrainians who would love to see him on the battlefield to be able to take a shot at him, to include American veterans who've enlisted to serve with the Ukrainian military. I think the bigger issue is Iran. Iran is providing drones, they're providing missiles, they're providing weapons, they're providing artillery. I mean, they're a nation state, you know, and in my view, an adversary of the U.S. That's using Russia as a proxy to engage with Ukraine and engage with NATO and engage with American allies. If we want to really get to the source, we've got to deal with Iran, we've got to deal with China that has much more capacity than any one individual arms dealer.
How worried are you about this Wagner group? So they're supplying convicts to fight on Russia's behalf. The head of that group, also known as Putins Chef, according to reports, claims to have taken control of the small town of Soledar. Ukraine has not confirmed that that has happened. What do you make of this group willing to put everything on the line, nothing to lose, and then focusing as the next target, Bakhmut?
Well, they're hired guns. They're mercenaries. I think it's concerning because they have a reputation for ruthless and unethical tactics. They're not going to abide by the Geneva Convention, although the Russian military hasn't done that either. They're raping and plundering and targeting civilian assets. I think it's a sign that that Putin's got to pay people. You know, he can't count on some degree of patriotism inside of Russia. It seems like support inside Russia for this ongoing fight in Ukraine is waning. Russians are sick of seeing their sons and daughters come home dead. And he's going to have to lean on people like Wagner because they can pull in international mercenaries from around the world to try to backfill against the Russian waves. And the Russians continue to really show a disregard for human life on any level. Putin doesn't care. He's going to send wave after wave of Russians, and that's why we need to continue to have our back strong and to provide Ukraine with especially artillery. Artillery is going to be necessary. This is going to be long and drawn out. It's not going to be over anytime soon. And I think as we go into a new year, we need to brace for that.
Zelensky delivered a video message during the Golden Globes. We have a portion of that. Let's listen.
There will be no third world war. It is not a trilogy. Ukraine will stop the Russian aggression on our land.
Paul, you called this a smart move. Why?
Well, you know, he's got to keep the war in the spotlight. And you and I have talked before about his mastery of communications and communications tactics. You know, he's fighting for hearts and minds. He's got to get the world on his side, and he's got to remind Americans that the war is going on. And the Golden Globes are going to have much higher viewership than anything outside of maybe American football. So most folks aren't watching news. They're watching pop culture, and this is a way to galvanize additional support for Ukraine. And he's good at this. I mean, he's a comedian in the past. He's been brilliant on every form of medium. He was very effective in front of the American Congress. And I think he understands it's going to be a long war, and he's got to find innovative and creative ways to keep the Ukrainian war and the Ukrainian story in front of people. And the Golden Globe's full of people in Hollywood that also tell stories. So he's talking to storytellers. He's talking to lots of folks with money and resources that can also support the Ukrainian war effort and even the philanthropy on the ground that can help civilians.
Yeah, relentless, impressive leadership once again by President Zelensky. As always, Paul Rieckhoff, host of the Independent Americans podcast. Great to see you this morning. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Marnie, as always.
All right.